Welcome to the Fort Johnson podcast, American Heart Month edition. February is known as American Heart Month, a time dedicated to raising the awareness of heart health and promoting a healthy lifestyle choices. It's a reminder for all of us to take care of our hearts, and not just for ourselves, but also for those around us. In this episode, we have two special guests joining us to share their insights on how we can keep our hearts healthy through proper nutrition and self-care. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn from Captain Aireal Williams and Colonel Anthony Noya about the importance of eating healthy for a strong heart. Let's jump right in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this podcast. I am Jeff England from the Fort Johnson podcast studios. No, Fort Johnson Public Affairs office in the podcast studio. And with me today, I have two special guests, Captain Williams, Aireal, like the mermaid, Little Mermaid, and Colonel Noya. I don't want to demote you there.
It was a while ago. I was here actually as a captain about 16 years ago.
Oh, were you? Did you work at BJAC then too?
Sure did.
Oh, but it wasn't. But it wasn't Fort Johnson back then.
It wasn't.
We've come a long way, baby. Yeah.
All good.
So we've got February is coming up. It matters if you're watching this in February. It's February. If you're watching us on the premiere day, Sunday, it's almost February. And if you're watching in March or later, it's like after February. It'll be again every year. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I got to remember that I'm here also. So there's all of us. Anyway, so Captain Williams, you're a nutritionist?
Yes. So I am currently a registered dietitian holding the title of the Chief of Nutrition Care Division at BJAC.
Ooh, nice. And Colonel, you are a physician residing or attending, or I've been
retiring.
Retiring.
Yeah, so I'm board certified family physician. Been in the Army about 20 years now. And so, yeah, I'm on my swan song, and I've done a little bit of emergency medicine work as well.
20 years and you're already a full bird colonel. That's impressive. Wait a minute, I forgot. Doctors can come in like as a captain, right?
We do.
I knew it.
We have this kind of saying, for some it applies, but 6 years and a pulse. Maintain your board certification, maintain your height, weight, and be a good soldier. And
that's first and foremost. Be a good soldier,
right.
And be healthy,
Yeah.
Look at that. You like how I just threw that right in there? So the Heart Month, it's Heart Health Month. So we've got almost everyone has a heart. Some people don't, others have broken hearts, but sometimes they heal, but they're always scarred. Mm. So you can never truly heal a broken heart.
As long as it works. It's all about function.
Pumping the blood.
Function.
So what is the number one thing that we want to know? What is the number one thing for this month? I mean, we put it out there. We make the February Heart Health Month. Recognition, awareness, remindings, and any other words I can make up. Why was it so important that we had to come up with or dedicate a whole month for this?
I would say if you just look at numbers, the number one cause of death in America is still heart disease, even after the COVID-19 pandemic. Heart disease still won out, so to speak. When you look at all comers, it does change depending on the age that you're looking at. But all told, for the majority of us, when our heart gives out, we die. And so for that reason, heart health is so important. And there are a lot of things we can do to help prevent things like heart attacks and heart failure. And we'll get to that.
Yeah. So now those with like undersized hearts, maybe like 3 times too small, if they just give a lot of presents to Whoville, that'll get their heart to grow, right? I've seen it happen.
I've heard of tiny heart syndrome too, but I know that there are ways to improve our ability to function, and we'll get to that. There's always hope.
That was the Grinch, by the way. Yes, the Grinch. His heart grew 3.
Yeah.
And I've seen Now, I've seen pictures of the heart, and they look nothing like the emojis that I put on YouTube and Facebook. So,
Right.
so it also, what I found? What I found interesting was that the heart is not just in your chest; it's actually in a bag.
It is
In your chest.
Yes, it's called the pericardium, the
peric-
pericardial sac. But the pericardium is the lining that lines that sac. So it's amazing. You can get fluid in that potential space between the heart and the pericardial sac.
Now, is that considered a heart disease also?
That can be a problem, absolutely. That's pericardial effusion. You can get pericarditis sometimes after infections. And so those are things that, as long as we stay healthy, we're not probably going to see that in our lifetime. But a lot of us, despite our best efforts, the heart, like any organ, does have a point in which it starts to fail or not work as well as it used to as we get older. Mother Nature and Father Time always win. And so there are ways that we can help protect our heart and keep it strong so we're living into our 80s and 90s and beyond.
Now, the heart is always working. And I remember the only reason I know anything about the heart is because of a report I had to do in third grade. And I still remember this stuff. But one question that I remember being asked was, when does the heart rest? And I found out it's in between beats.
Amen.
Look at that.
Sure does.
Mm-hmm.
And also the heart only has so many beats before it gives out. And so that's why I don't exercise. Because if you exercise, the heart rate goes up and you're just wasting your beats.
Keep in mind who gave that recommendation.
Well, it was me.
Good to exercise, actually. Everything in moderation, of course.
Oh,
We don't
absolutely.
want you to overdo it. We certainly don't want you to underdo it either.
So what would you say the easiest thing for heart health is? What, like, lazy people and I'm talking about me. And yeah. So what would you say is the easiest thing that I can do to help with my heart?
I think Captain Williams can definitely take this one.
I have a feeling this is food.
So just speaking about the different sort of risk factors, so we have like our non-modifiable risk factors, speaking of, your age, your family health history, things like that. But my realm is the modifiable risk factors. So what are we putting into our body? How are we exercising? What kind of weight are we keeping up, that healthy weight? But when it comes to diet for sure is a modifiable risk factor. And just implementing small changes into your dietary intake can definitely improve, or I should say mitigate that risk of CVD. Yeah.
Now, I've heard the helping or the positive parts of red wine in small amounts or in moderation or whatever. Is that actually true, where red wine will actually help with heart health?
So you said the key word in moderation.
Yeah,
So, really?
I'm secret like that. I know all the little keywords.
So definitely those things in moderation. You think, this wine is coming from grapes, essentially.
But you have to worry about which grapes, because if they're really angry grapes, they could be the grapes of wrath.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Really take that into consideration also.
Stay away from the angry grapes.
Yes. But definitely being mindful. I mean, there's recommendations out there for males and females as far as intake of alcohol. So really encouraging people to be mindful of those. Don't overdo it. Same with the exercises. Don't overdo it. But we definitely understand, drink your wine at night, kind of unwind. And even that, reducing that stress level is helping mitigate those risks of CBD.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to mitigate the stress level.
Yes.
That the red wine might help. I never know. But we've got the food. What kind of healthy foods would you recommend, starting?
Yes. So for the dietary guidelines for America and even the American Heart Association, what they suggest is reducing your saturated fat, reducing your sodium, and getting an adequate amount of fiber and unsaturated fat. So I know I just said two words that maybe people don't hear often: unsaturated and saturated fat, right? So to break that down, unsaturated fat, just think good. Those are your avocados. Those are your
macadamia nuts.
In moderation. Yes.
I eat bags of those.
Yeah, in moderation. Peanut butter has a little bit of both, but it's a quick snack for a lot of people. Your fatty fish, so like your salmon, things like that. And I also mentioned saturated fat, so just think bad. Those put you more at risk of clogging your arteries, essentially. So your pastries, those fast foods, those processed foods.
Now there's another type of, is it oil? No, it's fat. It's another type of fat. It's like it's missing a molecule. So sometimes it's liquid and other times it's solid. And
yes, so that goes into the unsaturated fat. So we have our mono, we have our poly.
That's it.
Yeah,
poly.
yeah. You're right. You're on it. So really just thinking, okay, what are some ways that I can substitute this quote unquote bad fat for this good fat to reduce my risk of cardiovascular disease?
Is coconut oil, is that a good fat or a bad fat? Or is it a fat at all?
So it is a fat, and one tip that I would suggest to people, when it's heated up, if it becomes more of like a clear liquid, then it's more so on the unsaturated side.
Oh, good. Because from what I've learned is cooking popcorn in coconut oil is pretty good.
Yeah.
I love popcorn. So anytime I can bring it back to popcorn or Fruit Loops. No. Sorry, inside joke. The popcorn. If I could bring it back to popcorn, I'm all about it. That's why I like going to the movies. And it's like, but the heart. When you get the fatties, the fats in your blood, there's several different types. It's like HGL. And other types of fat that can clog up your arteries, veins, arteries. But no, one's one way, the other's the other way.
Right.
That's why one's red and one's blue, but not if you poke it and then it comes out and it hits the oxygen and it turns red.
Look at that. Third grade did great wonders for you.
I graduated the third grade. But we got, so what are these, when we go into measure the fats in our blood, the cholesterol levels, that's what I'm looking for. The cholesterol, we got HDL and the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol.
Yep, HDL and LDL. Mm-hmm.
LDL. So which one is the better one?
So similar to what Captain Williams was saying, good fat you can consume, bad fat you can consume. Same thing with the cholesterol levels. When you get a total cholesterol level, it doesn't help so much. It's just a number, a big number. You want to break it down. Do you have good cholesterol majority, bad cholesterol majority? And that's really where you can determine the risk. So the LDL is the bad cholesterol. That's the one that sticks to the arteries. The HDL actually helps take that away. And so you want more HDL. Wouldn't it be great to just have that magic pill, right?
Oh, yeah.
Give me a pill so I have more HDL. It doesn't work that way. Pharmaceutical companies have tried. They haven't found it yet.
What about the salmon and fish with high fatty omega acids?
So that could be a good one. Yeah, that can help raise your HDL. It can. We've also looked at some studies. What if we just give people the omega-3 supplement? Will that cure all? It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't hurt, and it can help. But really, like most things, there's multifactorial, it's complex, and so we break it down. But we know for sure things that help HDL are regular exercise. So that's always a good thing. Sorry, Jeff, got to promote it.
I don't want to. No, actually,
go for a walk after this. Come on.
I'm actually participating in the 10K a day.
Nice.
So are you guys doing anything like
Heard
that?
of it? Yep. The watch helps keep track of the
definitely.
steps.
It's amazing when back when I was in school, it's like, well, you're not always. They made you memorize all your math and all this stuff because you're not going to be walking around with a calculator all day. It's like,
Little did you know.
Yes.
if you could see the future. And now it's like I've got pedometers and odometers and reclometers. No, that got that.
Close those brains, baby. It's all good. But yeah, so HDL is the good cholesterol. Activity or exercise will definitely help with that. The LDL is the one that is considered the bad cholesterol. Interestingly enough, diet absolutely plays a role in raising LDL levels, but genetics plays a huge role. And, we've met people that you look at them and they look fit and healthy, but they're at extremely high risk for heart disease because sometimes they have genetic predisposition to just crank out a lot more of that LDL. So the liver will do that in some people, and it's a genetic predisposition.
That just doesn't seem fair.
Well, you don't know until you come see your doc, and we'll check it out, and we'll let you know what your risk is, and we'll tailor a plan.
So what exactly are we've talked about the nutrition to help prevent and all that stuff. What are the signs that we've got? What should I look out for?
Yeah, that's a great question, because when we talk about all the risk factors for heart disease, high blood pressure is one of them. And unfortunately, we do call high blood pressure the silent killer. So that's one that you won't really know until you get it checked.
I've never understood high blood pressure. I've got the diastolic and the systolic and the metastolic and the banastolic and the stereoscopic. And
teach me those. Yeah, I know the first two, but don't know the others.
So how do I read a blood pressure? Because I have a blood pressure machine that measures my blood pressure, and I never know. It's like is like 190 over 210 good?
That's probably not compatible with life, because usually the top number is higher than the bottom number. So the top number represents the maximum pressure. So when the heart beats, kind of what the arteries are feeling at the maximum pressure level. And the diastolic would be, as you said, the heart does rest, and so it's at rest. And so we sometimes calculate something called a mean arterial pressure, which is basically looking at, we got the peak number and we got the low number, but on a typical kind of any day, what is the body really feeling? What is that artery really feeling? So the top number is systolic, bottom number is diastolic. Our goal is 120 over 80 or less. Sometimes we're okay with a little wiggle there, 120 to 130 or 80 to 85. But really, it's that bottom number, the diastolic. That's the one that we hone in on quite a bit.
So I imagine somebody that's like really heavy into exercising and running marathons and all that stuff, I'm sure that the diastolic is pretty low.
It is, yeah. So the heart rate as well. Definitely staying fit helps lower your heart rate at baseline, helps lower your blood pressure, really just because your circulatory system is more efficient. And so you don't need that higher pressure to get the blood to where it needs to go. Your heart just pumps so strongly and the blood flow is just so smooth because you don't have stuff clogging it up, that it just gets to where it needs to get to. Your heart rate and blood pressure will go up as you exercise to compensate for the demands of your body.
Now, is it the liver that cleans the cholesterol out of the blood, or is it the kidneys? Or is it anything?
Kidneys do a lot of filtering, but basically, those cholesterol components that our body creates does help filter things out. And so you want more of that HDL to take away the LDL, but that's where your diet really comes into to help decrease the amount of LDL cholesterol. And so we have seen when you change your diet, you do see improvements in those numbers. Medicines help too, but like anything else, a good pharmacologist once taught me early in training, you can out-eat and under-exercise any medicine.
Oh, no.
Nice.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
It's
nice.
True.
So much for the losartan and
that stuff helps.
The fish oils.
Yeah, but if you're not doing the baseline, at some point we're like, hey, I can't throw the kitchen sink at you. It's not doing anything. You got to do that baseline, just healthy living.
Now, so I like sitting around, but, every so often my left arm goes numb and, I get a tightness in my chest. And so
come see us, please.
So that'd be part of the sign, right?
Yeah. So you're talking about kind of the classic signs and symptoms of a heart attack. And so we talked about blood pressure being the silent killer, just in saying that you don't know what your blood pressure is just walking around. You got to get that number checked. But most people know when they're having a heart attack, and that's, we call it the Levine sign. You see people just putting their hand on their chest, and you heard it described as an elephant sitting on my chest. And that's because the blood that is feeding the heart, those vessels are clogged and being squeezed off, and there's no blood, oxygen going to your heart, and your heart is saying, I'm dying. It hurts.
That sounds like me when they tell me to do work. No, the arteries on the heart, they're not very big. I mean, so how a blockage of that can't be that big.
True. Yeah, so those are the coronary arteries, and this is where interventional cardiologists, that's what they do every day. But they're basically, it's amazing. I mean, it's so cool to live in the 21st century, right? Good, bad, in between. But the things that we can do in a cardiac catheterization lab are just incredible. But you've seen, or I've seen, maybe you've seen it, but they'll actually suck out the clots. They'll suck out all the cholesterol plaques. And yeah, that stuff can get stuck in those arteries. But you're right. It's kind of like a straw. When you think about it, the biggest artery is about the diameter of most typical straws. So it's not that big, but once you get a little bit of plaque buildup in there due to the cholesterol, and then if that plaque breaks off and ruptures, then that's usually what triggers the heart attack. At some point, I do want to mention that the biggest thing we can do is really make sure that no one's smoking cigarettes, honestly.
I thought that was just for the lungs.
That's what a lot of people think, but I can tell you that in the emergency department, I've actually seen 5 real-life heart attacks right in front of me happening, and 4 of those 5 were heavy smokers, young, in their 40s and early 50s.
Now, if smoking is bad for your heart in addition to your lungs, what about the vaping? Is that just as bad? Are we finding out that the more we learn about this vaping stupidity, that more people are, or that it's more dangerous than originally thought?
Yeah, we're learning more every day. We certainly don't recommend vaping. The interesting thing is that we're actually seeing that now the young adults, they have a higher incidence of vaping than they do smoking cigarettes. So sorry to say, more to follow. As that group, as that cohort gets older over the next few decades, we'll actually get a chance to see that we'll have more vapors than cigarette smokers. We have the same incidence of heart disease related to smoking being the main risk factor. So sorry for a cop-out, but the biggest thing I would say is right now we're not seeing the same or higher, and we need more time, but we certainly know that it's not healthy to put warm air with a bunch of chemicals into your lungs because it's going to cause inflammation. We know that happens, and inflammation is bad for the arteries and the heart, and so we can suspect that it's just not a good thing. So please don't vape, don't smoke.
The moist, warm, moist things like fungal infections. The last thing you want is a fungal infection.
Yeah, and you don't want to be dependent on that stuff. God gave us oxygen and water. Those are 2 good things to be dependent on.
I love water.
Nature's nectar.
I drink it every day.
It's good stuff.
And that oxygen stuff, I'm hooked on it. Don't start. Don't start. I'm hooked. I can't live without it. No, so you're saying that, cardiovascular is your heart and lungs, so it kind of goes together. So what is, how many people are on average, how many people are dying of disease, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
It's really age dependent again. So if you look at certain age groups, the younger population, you may not see it as much. But as you get into the older populations, you see it more prevalent. But the number it's high. I can tell you the cost is $240 billion a year, and the estimate is also that about every 33 seconds someone's
about
dying
every 33
of
seconds
disease.
Yeah. About like 1 in 5 is what I heard is somebody dies from like heart disease of some sort.
Right. Yeah.
So what kind of heart diseases are there? I mean, or is it just one heart disease covers everything?
Most of it's going to be your heart attack, which is your usually it's an atherosclerosis or a blockage in the heart or a blockage in the artery that feeds the heart. So that's a myocardial infarction. But people do survive those. And so what you end up with afterwards is basically heart failure or pump failure. And then you can also have other abnormalities of the heart. So the rhythm abnormalities that can occur. One of the most common rhythm abnormalities actually happens from prolonged high blood pressure that isn't treated because the heart has to pump harder against that pressure. And then what ends up happening over time, at some point, the heart says, you know what, I've been pumping so hard and I've been responding to all this pressure. And then the function actually starts to give out because it swells so much. And so you lose your what's called ejection fraction. And it's pretty interesting. There's this thing called the Frank-Starling curve where you reach this point of diminishing return. The heart will respond to high blood pressure, but at some point it says, you know what, I've been doing this for decades, I'm giving out, and that's heart failure. And then that stretches the heart. And then what you can end up with is something called atrial fibrillation, where basically the automaticity of the heart gets all awry because of the stretching. And then you end up with funky rhythms that can lead to more problems like strokes.
That's the I've got the heart monitor on my watch, and I have to hold the button so it detects the electrical signal
right
through my body, and it says it's or afibrillation or something. What does that mean?
I hope it's not saying atrial fibrillation for you. If it is, please come see us. But atrial fibrillation would be basically a quivering of the heart. So the heart is designed to pump smoothly. The signal to pump comes from the top of the heart in the sinoatrial node, and then it gets passed down the heart through these Purkinje fibers. It actually goes SA node to AV node, Purkinje fibers, and then you get the ejection. And so what happens is in that SA node, the top of the heart, if it's stretched out and gets disrupted, then instead of doing a regular automaticity, it just starts going awry and just starts beating really, really fast. And what that happens is you don't give the heart enough time to relax, to fill, and then it's all irregular. And blood doesn't like that. Blood likes regular, smooth flow. Once you start messing with the flow of blood, either you pause the flow or you make it start and go, blood likes to clot. And so you can end up with a clot in your heart, and then you can shoot off that clot into your body. And it's really bad when it goes up to your brain, because that's how you get a stroke.
That's like a deep thrombosis.
You can.
See,
that's in the vein. We're talking about clots that go
into the
arteries.
arteries. So that would be like a brain attack.
Exactly.
So I thought they wanted to change the name of stroke to brain attack.
You can call it that.
It's
the same concept as a heart attack. It's you have lack of blood flow to a vital organ.
So if I wanted to choose to eat healthy, I'm all about food, and it's like I hear like whole grains, whole oats, and stuff like that. Where would be a good place to start?
Yeah. So, we talked about kind of those fats that we want to reduce, or the sodiums that we want to reduce, as far as, or as well as added sugar. But good news to add in the fiber aspect of it. So your fruits, your vegetables, the whole grains aspect, if you make like the small changes of, okay, instead of white bread, let me have wheat bread. Let me do whole wheat pasta. If you are a smoothies person, add in oatmeal and, fruits and vegetables. You get 2 for 1 right there.
Make it all the oatmeal. You would think it'd make it thick and sticky.
Yes, yeah. So I've tried it myself. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
You blend it well enough.
A fork or a spoon. You can
smoothie bowls. Those are the new ways.
The best smoothies that I've had are they call them milkshakes. Yeah.
Yeah. But really just those small changes to, what we probably take in, as, I talked about like the pastries we probably want to stay away from. So instead of something like that.
You can't tell me that during king cake season.
Oh, I know. Definitely not saying eliminate it all the way, but everything in moderation, If we're talking about, hey, have that Oreo, but let's try not to eat the whole sleeve of Oreos.
The whole sleeve?
The whole sleeve, yes.
That's like one of the 3 rows.
Yes.
That are people actually stop after one of those? I didn't even know the bag was resealable.
But definitely small changes, encouraging people. If you do have that sweet tooth, the added sugar is really not providing your body any nutrients. So you're getting these calories, but no benefit from it. But you think about different sorts of fruits. They have that sugar, the natural sugar that you can have. So instead of grabbing that candy bar, let's think about some frozen strawberries.
But the candy bar has peanuts in it. So...
It does. Moderation.
And milk.
That is a way to look at it. Yeah.
It's like chocolate cake. It's got eggs and flour and milk.
So instead of the king size, let's just get the little candy size, the little fun size.
Not a problem as long as I could eat like 100 of them.
Oh, no.
Okay, so now if I wanted to, well, I'm trying to lose weight unsuccessfully, and I have a feeling that it's once I get there, that it's going to be tough to maintain that weight. That, is there anything that I should be doing, eating properly, exercising my heart properly to maintain my weight?
Definitely, we see some people go through what's called a plateau. So you get to a certain point, and then you get discouraged. But really encouraging you to, of course, come see your specialist here, and also just becomes a time when you're starting to maintain. So your goal shifts. You're no longer trying to lose. You're trying to maintain, and that's still good news and still things that we like to hear.
Absolutely.
Can I share?
No.
Please. I dropped I think it was at least 15 pounds, and I've been able to keep it off. And I really just want to share. All I did was for lunch, I don't go eat a big lunch anymore. I just do the tuna and crackers, and I try to walk during lunch. That alone, and then really cut out soda. And so if I do soda, which is very rare now, it'll be the Coke Zero or the Diet, but really it's all about water. And so, sorry. It was cutting out the soda, and it was doing a nice, really mild lunch and doing some walking. Sorry. For what it's worth, it's worked, and I've been able to keep it off. And I can tell once I start going back into more carbs, then I can feel it starting to come on. I'm like, oh, I got to stay away from the carbs, more water.
I'm going to stay away from you.
Sorry.
Water can be fun.
You cannot deny me my Mountain Dew. I will drink the water and coffee and other things. So, since I'm such an unhealthy kind of person, what signs should I look for for heart disease?
Yeah, so like you mentioned earlier, the heart and the lungs are so connected, and because the heart's main job is to pump oxygenated blood, when you're not getting enough oxygen to your body, you're just going to feel weak and tired and short of breath. And so those are some of the symptoms that you can have, but the heart really helps us function. And so if at any time anyone's feeling like I just haven't been able to really do what I used to be able to do. I used to be able to climb so many steps without any problems, but now I'm feeling like I'm really short-winded. And so really that's one of your key kind of signs that maybe you should be getting your heart checked out, and we can check other things too. But we always want to make sure that people's heart rhythms and blood pressures are where they should be, their cholesterol levels. Diabetes and heart disease go together as well. The sugar sticks to the blood vessels. And so that is a big component of cardiovascular disease as well. And there are a lot of signs and symptoms for diabetes, but typically the main ones we'll see is people are urinating more often because the sugar will make you want to pee a lot, and it goes through the kidneys and out the urine, and it just, you're peeing a lot. You're thirsty because you're losing all that water. Sugar and water go together. You get dehydrated. Amazingly enough, too, I've seen a lot of patients come in saying, Doc, I'm just having a lot of blurry vision. My vision's just off. And so you got tiny little arteries and veins in your eyes, and those are very sensitive to increased sugar levels as well.
I think I might be dead.
No, you look great, but come see us. We'll check you out, and you'll be fine. We'll take it one day at a time. But yeah, there's a lot of different things, and when you talk about symptoms, but the main ones I would say is difficulty breathing, difficulty with kind of your energy level or being able to accomplish the tasks you used to, and then I just like throwing out those diabetes ones. Urinating more thirsty, blurry vision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if anybody wanted to go get more information on, prevention, moderation, or, diets and stuff like that, is there someplace that we can go to get some more information on this?
Yeah, so there's many resources. The American Heart Association is a great resource. CDC does a great job. And the dietary guidelines, they are about every 5 years, they update the information. So those are some resources that I think are pretty good. You have any, sir?
Yeah, I second that. I think we'll be trying to post some stuff on the American Heart Association. They have this thing called Life's Essential 8, so keep an eye out for that. Really, really love the Army Performance Triad. I think that that's just a great place to just let the foundation be set for healthy living. And if you do the stuff that we promote in H2F or Holistic Health and Fitness and the Army Performance Triad, you're well on your way to preventing heart disease and just being healthy overall.
Nice. And any final thoughts? Like, should we come over, make an appointment? Can we do? I mean, I know BJAC does all that for people that are available to use BJAC. They can go over there, get like diets and recommendations and tested and all that stuff. Or is there different risk factors for men and women? Do you need to be seen if you like what? Should we just call you or go to the BJAC website?
Yeah, so definitely come in. We have one-on-one. We'll start doing classes here soon and having those discussions. Definitely, meet people where they are. People have different goals and people have different risks. But overall, the preventative information, we will be able to inform you. We're well open to having you come in and kind of talk to you about how to mitigate any kind of cause or risks that you have going on.
Yes, and a plug for the Army Wellness Center as well.
Yeah, they were in here the other week.
Nice.
Yeah, there's just a lot of resources. But between the Army Wellness Center, the performance folks over on, I may get it wrong, is that on Alabama Road or something like that?
It's somewhere around here.
You know what I'm talking about. But the folks that do the performance and anything H2F, Performance Triad is great. We're all about prevention. I think that the quote is attributed to Ben Franklin, but
an ounce of prevention
is worth a pound of cure, right? And a good master sergeant taught me in ROTC: fail to plan to fail. So we hope that this helps a little bit, maybe give people a little boost or jump start on really taking it serious in the sense of your heart's important, life is important, and there are things we can do to help maximize our ability to function and be here a long time and live it up.
Yeah, just like Kiki D and Elton John said, "Don't go breaking my heart."
And one final thing, next Friday is the kickstart of Heart Healthy. So wear your red to show your support.
Well, I appreciate you both coming in. Captain Williams, Colonel Noya from BJAC, I appreciate everything that you've done for us and everything that you're offering for us to do. And I think I'd love to have you guys back in here sometime to go over some more health stuff and make sure that I stay healthy and live out that the retirement dream, because I don't want to be one of those people that just like retires and then dies. It's like, oh, wait a minute. No, not good for me. But anyway, I am Jeff England from the Fort Johnson Public Affairs Office, and you have been watching the Fort Johnson podcast, and I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and sign up and hit that notification button. And please be sure to leave a comment down there to let us know what you're doing to ensure a better heart health month and stuff like that. And we'll be watching at you and listening at you later.
That was easy.